welcome to the new Rockstar channel. This is still new to me. I renamed this channel a couple of weeks ago, and I actually made two videos already. One was just a general one explaining like the Rockstar principles and why I thought it was important to have a channel just focused on that and no longer calling it the Rock Your Business channel. And then I made another one, and that was already called the Rockstar Take on Fame. So that had like a like a format for the title. So let's continue that format, and then this one is going to be the Rockstar Take on Craft. So craft means your skill set, what it is that you do. and so I'm going to kind of like take something that I already explained in the first video, in the video where I explained why it was important to talk about this subject and why it mattered to me personally, but also why I think that it matters to some of you. So I'm going to use the example that I used in that video. I'll put the link in below to this like foundational video, and just use those examples here again, because in that video I said how in 1998 I got inspired to do yoga because of Madonna. So Madonna kind of like emerged like a queen from the, or a Venus from the sea, having this kind of like rock star body, which she had trained with Ashtanga yoga. So she was very vocal about, being a yogi now and what that meant to her. And well, obviously she told us all what kind of yoga she did. So I knew this is Ashtanga yoga. So I got really inspired for it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I want to do yoga too. And then there was another example how in 2016, after like already being involved in internet marketing or online marketing and online business, running online coaches for businesses that were offline, in 2016, like I really got inspired by someone who really was a business coach, but in a way that just like it was like really very inspiring to me. And what those two examples had in common was that in hindsight I was like, yeah, well, that was not actually about yoga. That was about the rock starness that Madonna already had before she was doing yoga, and then she added yoga on top of that, and her presence became even stronger. And it was the same thing with the business coach. That wasn't really about business coaching. That was about her rock starness enhanced through the craft of being a business owner and being a business coach, which made us, the audience, think that it was about her being a business coach. And in hindsight, I think, no, it was about her really having that rock star power and that rock star presence and the rock star charisma that was what would appeal to me. So in those two examples from the very first video, the foundational video, there's already a reference to the craft of doing yoga, the craft of being an online business coach. It really doesn't matter. So that's like the one line version of a rock star and their craft. It doesn't matter. So and yet of course it is important, because we need a frame, we need We want to see someone through a, or in a role that we understand, or within a frame that we understand. We want to validate towards ourselves while we are spending time following that person or buying from that person. And if I, if around 2000 I say, oh, I want to become a yoga teacher, then everybody's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And I am like, that's a great idea, and I allow myself to spend money on that and to go to training and to take it seriously. And every day when I'm on the yoga mat, I'm like, I'm doing something, you know. Whereas if I had said to myself, oh, I want to become rock star-ish like Madonna, like that's not actionable. That's not a thing. That's like, you can't explain that. If in, like, I bought the courses from the business coach, and I also followed her free online content, and I bought her books and everything from late 2016 until 2022, I think it was, or 23. No, yeah, 23. Yeah. So that, let's say, just late 2022. Um, then if I had said, oh, I just want to binge watch this inspiring woman on YouTube, and I want to buy videos from her. I want to buy video courses from her, like not specifying the topic. That's like, I would have felt bad about purchasing those. I mean, maybe I could have coached myself over it, get over it and do it anyway. But it's the fact that I knew that she was a business coach and that she was inspiring me to take action in my business. That was what made it such a good deal, because it was completely guilt-free. I could, I allowed myself to invest money in it and invest all my time in it and to emotionally invest in it. And when it was really her rock starness, and it was just like, if she had, there are limits of course, but if she had a different profession, or if Madonna in 1998 had done, I don't know, karate, if she had like come out with like this super presence and said, yeah, it's because I have started doing karate, maybe I would have started doing karate. So and the same thing with the business coach, like if she had been a stylist and had talked about fashion or about styling your house, I think I would have just went along with that. So there's just a variety of things that someone with a rockstar presence can sell, or a variety of crafts that they can master and then sell themselves as, being a master of that craft. So that's kind of like one part of the story of a rock star and their craft, that ultimately, if you have that rock star power, it doesn't really matter what kind of craft that you add to it, because that's not the magic ingredient. The magic ingredient is you, and your rock star power, or charisma, message. So there's that part. And then I want to add another part to it, which I have not covered yet in the first video. And that is that if you then start studying, if you start taking your craft too seriously, And I remember I did kind of like touch on this already in the first video, so it's going to be like a repeat from that. I realized, oh, I did. It was just one example that I'm going to add now, which I didn't use them. So if you then, like, I wouldn't say buy into your own bullshit, but if you lose the big picture of what it is that makes your work special, and you really start to invest in the craft itself, in the world of professionals that this craft has, and maybe invest in an education in that field, like a general education, not taken from that person who inspired you, then there's a chance that you're going to lose what you had. So the example that I already illustrated in the first video is that if I had kind of like if I understood that what I found and what I find inspiring in yoga was Madonna and was not actually yoga, and if I had focused on cultivating that, so maybe yes, I would have taken a professional education in the field of yoga. But if I had come back all the time like, okay, but what does this enhance my experience of yoga? Does it create a better yoga for me? Do I get better at the craft of being a yoga teacher if I use this knowledge, or if I use this principle? Yes or no? Then I could have grown into an amazing, like, rock starish yoga teacher. But because I didn't know that, because I thought, oh, I'm inspired by yoga, and I'm now going to do a yoga teacher training, I lost it. I was like, I just lost what I had, basically. So the strongest sense about the yoga teacher I wanted to be, I had in the first 2 or 3 years of practice, when I had not yet entered my yoga training, official yoga training. So I was taking classes, but I was not in any official training in any official lineage. So that's a really good one to realize, like, the craft that you do, make sure that you keep focusing on the liberating, expansive feeling that you get from that craft, or that brought you to that craft in the first place, and don't just undertake an education or a traineeship or whatever in the field that you're interested in without recognizing that you have your own rockstar flavor, and that you want to use, and that keeping that aspect of your work is more important to you than adopting the methods and the concepts of the field of the craft that you're in. And now I'm going to use the second example about craft that I really have not touched on yet, and that is that I actually know people who were in their raw self-taught expression of a certain field. They were magnetic. They were like, wow, they were captivating in what they did. And I have several examples of that. Like, it can be writing, it can be acting, it can be performing, as in, a musician. And then they were like, okay, I'm gonna I'm going to really pursue this. I'm going to enter this field. I'm going to try to get into an official academy, or I'm going to like really register for an education where really going to learn this. And then they lost it. They lost their powerful expression. They like I didn't like what they created anymore. And not because no, well, there's no not here. It's the reason I no longer liked it was because it was becoming artificial. It didn't have that urgency that their initial work had, where just the message and what they wanted to tell, it just came out. It was just unstoppable. It just overrode any lack of experience they had. It overrode any lack of understanding of the craft, because it didn't matter anymore. It had that urgency and they really wanted to express it, and so they did. And yet the moment they kind of like held back and were like, oh, wait a minute, I don't actually know how to do this. Let's get education. It all went up. So it's like, and I'm not even saying that they didn't get more famous or more successful. All I'm saying is that I was no longer interested. So, and that's because I like that rock star energy. I like that raw energy. I like it real. I don't like artificial, polished things that you have learned at some academy. So maybe the world does. It's not like that I say that they are not more that they didn't get better at their craft. It's just that I think that for me they lost what what made them so appealing. And and for them as well as for myself, I can sometimes still fantasize about how amazing would it have been if from around the year 2000 to later on, I would have developed that part of me doing yoga, or they would have developed that rock star part of them, being a writer, being a performer, being an actor. It's being a musician. So it's like I find that very fascinating, and that's why I have this channel. I find that kind of like rock starness, that pure raw expression, I find that very interesting. There's not many of me. Like most people like it a little bit more cleaned up. And I'm like, no, that's where I like lose interest. So that was my take on not my take. It was a rock star take on craft. And the next video is going to be a rock star take on core culture. Woo! So, like one of the things I have to do before I can make that video is check with someone if there is like an official theory, because I have heard this theory from someone, but I have to know if I can credit this theory to her, or at least the foundations of it, or if there is other literature on the concept of core culture. because I would love to use it, but I of course want to have the right credits, credit the right people for providing us with this word and with this concept. And but I'm sure I will figure it out, and I will have it all researched for the next video, and then I can give you my rockstar take on it. So, rockstar take on core culture the next time. Okay, bye.